You turn off the light, you pull the blanket up. For a moment, everything feels normal. Then you feel it, a faint itch on your shoulder. You tell yourself it's nothing, you fall asleep anyway. But somewhere in the dark, something has already found you, and your sleep will never feel quite the same again. This is the bedbug effect, and it doesn't start with the bite. It starts with what happens after. Bedbugs are small, flat, reddish-brown insects about the size of an apple seed. They don't fly, they don't jump, they simply wait. During the day, they hide in mattress seams, in the cracks of a bed frame, behind baseboards, inside electrical outlets. At night, when carbon dioxide levels rise from your breathing and your body temperature warms the air around you, they emerge and follow that signal directly to your skin. A single bedbug feeding takes about 5 to 10 minutes. You won't feel it happening. Their saliva contains a mild anesthetic, numbing the skin just enough that most people sleep straight through the bite. By the time you wake up, the bug is gone, hidden again, and all that remains is a small red welt and a question you can't quite answer. Why does this itch? Here's where the psychological part begins, and it's the part most people never expect. Dr. Jerome Goddard, an entomologist at Mississippi State University, who has spent years studying the psychological effects of bedbug infestations, has documented something striking. It's not just the bites that disturb people, it's the loss of certainty. Once someone realizes bedbugs are present, the bed itself, the one place meant to feel safest, becomes a place of suspicion. Goddard's research describes patients who developed what's sometimes informally called bedbug paranoia, a state where every itch, every speck on the sheet, every faint movement felt out of the corner of the eye becomes a potential threat, whether bugs are actually present or not. This isn't an exaggeration or a punchline. It's a documented pattern. A study published in the Journal of Medical Entomology by researchers Stephen Doggett and colleagues followed people living through active bedbug infestations and found significantly elevated levels of anxiety, sleep disruption, and in some cases, symptoms consistent with post-traumatic stress, particularly insomnia and hypervigilance at bedtime. People reported lying awake, scanning their sheets, waking up at the smallest sensation, and feeling unable to relax in their own bedroom even months after the infestation had been treated. Think about what that actually means. The bed is supposed to be the one space in a person's life with zero threat. It's where the body finally lets go. Bedbugs quietly remove that, and once that sense of safety is gone, it doesn't come back the moment the bugs are gone. The nervous system doesn't reset that easily. Part of the reason bedbugs are so disruptive comes down to biology that's working against you in a very specific way. Bedbugs are nocturnal feeders. Their activity peaks in the hours just before dawn, exactly when human sleep is at its deepest and most restorative. This isn't a coincidence. Researchers studying bedbug behavior, including work referenced by entomologists at the University of Kentucky's Department of Entomology, have noted that bedbugs have evolved to feed during the window, when a host is least likely to wake up and notice. Evolution didn't design bedbugs to be sneaky for no reason. It designed them to exploit exactly the part of sleep where humans are most defenseless. And bedbugs are patient in a way few household pests are. An adult bedbug can survive for several months without feeding, and in cooler conditions, some research suggests survival periods extending past a year. This means an infestation can appear, vanish for weeks, and return without warning, which is part of why the psychological toll lingers so long. There's no clear moment of, it's over. There's only the absence of evidence, which is not the same thing as the absence of bedbugs. Bedbugs have also been making a documented global resurgence since the late 1990s, after decades of being relatively rare in developed countries. Entomologists generally attribute this rebound to a mix of increased international travel, pesticide resistance, and the decline of certain broad-spectrum insecticides that were banned for environmental and health reasons in the 1970s and 1980s. The bugs that survived those bans were the ones naturally resistant to what was left, and they passed that resistance on. In other words, the bedbug problem many cities are dealing with today isn't an old problem returning unchanged. It's an evolved version, harder to eliminate with the same tools that once worked. This matters because it changes the emotional experience of dealing with them. Many people who discover bedbugs assume a single thorough cleaning will solve it. But because of resistance and their ability to hide for months without feeding, treatment often requires multiple rounds, sometimes over several weeks, with no guarantee the first attempt fully worked. That uncertainty is exactly the kind of unresolved stress that researchers link to lasting anxiety. The mind doesn't do well with threats it can't confirm are gone. There's also a social layer to this that doesn't get talked about enough. Bedbug infestations carry a strange and largely undeserved stigma. Unlike most pests, which people associate with dirty conditions, bedbugs spread through contact with infested items, luggage, used furniture, shared laundry facilities, hotel rooms, regardless of how clean a home is. Yet many people who experience an infestation report feeling embarrassed, hiding it from friends, delaying treatment out of fear of judgment, or even avoiding having guests over. That secrecy tends to make the psychological burden heavier, because people are processing a stressful, invasive experience, largely alone. So what does all of this add up to? A bedbug bite itself is usually harmless. It itches, it fades, it's rarely medically serious. But the experience surrounding that bite, the loss of certainty in your own bed, the hypervigilance at night, the months of wondering whether it's truly over, can outlast the infestation itself by a significant margin. Researchers studying this describe it less like a pest problem and more like a low-grade, prolonged disruption to a person's sense of safety in their own home. That's the actual bedbug effect, not the bite, the aftermath, the quiet rewiring of how a person relates to their own bed, their own sleep, their own sense of being safe while unconscious and vulnerable. Bedbugs don't need to be present anymore to keep doing damage. Once they've been there once, the fear of them returning can do almost as much work as the bugs themselves ever did. So if you've ever woken up at 3 a.m., convinced something just crawled across your arm, even with no bedbugs in sight, you're not being irrational. You're experiencing exactly what years of entomological and psychological research describe. A nervous system that learned, once, that the safest place in the house wasn't safe at all, and hasn't fully believed otherwise since.